Joining us right now, Tom and Erika Pillsbury, the mother and stepfather of slain Mercedes Vega. We just shared with you the story of how things ended for Mercedes back in April of 2023. But it was in 2020 that she was robbed at gunpoint and identified her attacker as Cujo Young, who is one of the gentlemen who's been, and I use that term loosely, who's been charged with her murder now from a few years later. Very interesting. Tom and Erika, first of all, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Very interesting. I heard some comments that you guys were making where you're very disappointed in the system, feeling like, boy, if somebody had been paying attention, maybe we wouldn't be in this situation today. Your daughter maybe was left unprotected right before she was about to testify.
Yeah, there needs to be a moment in every story where the bad guys stop writing the narrative and the good guys take over. And we haven't gotten there yet. We are still watching Cujo Young and his goons write the narrative, and they've been given every opportunity by Maricopa County. They've been given, despite the fact that they have records dating back to before they were 18 years old, with armed robberies, attempted armed robberies, narcotic possession, money laundering. They've been allowed out on ankle monitors, granted motions to travel. Cujo was allowed to go to a football camp, and they were committing crimes while they were out, and come back, and they've pushed back this case 18 times now. And we are watching them continue to create this narrative. Now they're making fools of Maricopa County. Where's the point where Maricopa County says, hey, we look like idiots now? Because he has now decided, he was going to represent himself. And I said, what happens when he changes his mind? They said his attorney still needs to represent him. The very next day, he turns up with a brand new attorney. They're making fools out of themselves now. We have no recourse. We have no justice. We sit, we wait. We are told that things are going to happen one way, and it continually goes the way of the criminal. So Cujo and his crash test dummies are out there doing whatever they want, manipulating the system and getting whatever way that they want, and no one is watching out. And if they had been watching out for the victim in the beginning of this, Mercedes would still be here. Cujo would have served his time in jail, and this would have all been done and over with by now.
Tom and Erika Pillsbury, the parents of Mercedes Vega, join us. What more do you believe that the police and the courts could have done back in 2020 to protect your daughter when she came forward and identified Cujo Young in the first place?
They should have let her know that he was out and kept her abreast of the situation, saying, he's out on an ankle monitor, or, he's been charged with another crime, one way or another. She was 19. I know there are systems for that, but they should have been a little bit more forward about how dangerous this man is. And, they should look back on his criminal history, but he sits there in jail today saying, I'm not even a felon, even though he's been charged with a laundry list of crimes. He's never been accused, so he's not considered a felon.
Where I think they could have done more is, and this is public record, that he was caught with possession of narcotics, fentanyl pills, over 30,000 fentanyl pills. So the police in general, now I don't know who was actually monitoring them or whatever they were doing, they were aware that things were going on. So during that time, he may have communicated to bring these people here. And I believe that it just slipped through the cracks, is that they were not worried about that case because it was a different case, and they were focusing on the fentanyl case. And ultimately, he was out, he was able to get these people here, and then this is what happened, because my daughter was not aware of the fentanyl case. We weren't aware of the fentanyl case until he was actually where we're sitting now, and he has postponed. You are right, though, that they did originally offer him 3 years. He turned it down. Then he haggled back and forth. He wanted probation, this and that, because, I'm a football star and all this other stuff, which was just a ploy to get sympathy from the court system. And in the long run, he was able to take care of my daughter and basically threaten the rest of these witnesses. That's where I'm worried about, is that, it's been 6 years and the system really didn't protect the witnesses. What is going to make these other witnesses want to come forward? I'm worried about that in the case, her murder trial, because some of the people that are probably involved with that case are involved with this case. Do I know that? I do not know that. I just think that the system could protect people a little bit more. She could have been aware of it because she had never brought any of this stuff up. So she was not aware of it. I just think that it slipped through the cracks, and the system has a big hole in it. And they got what they wanted from my daughter, where she was willing to testify and do all that stuff. So they're like, okay, this case is, we're done here. And now we're focusing on this fentanyl case and not worried, well, maybe that he's still worried about this case or not. It just seems very odd to me that there wasn't any communication, whether they had wiretaps or whatever, that no one was aware that my daughter was out there, and that this plan to eliminate my daughter was in place, because it wasn't just randomly set up. He brought these people here. He did this. He did that. So I find it very hard that no one was aware of this, and that the system didn't protect her, because honestly, like my wife said earlier, if he would have just faced his original charges in 2020, he would have been long done and over with, and my daughter would still be here. And I believe that to my core. I said that on the news.
Tom and Erika Pillsbury joining us, the parents of the murdered Mercedes Vega. She was killed in April of 2023. Cujo Young is one of the men charged with her murder, as are Sincere Hayes and Jared Gray. Cujo Young was accused of robbing her at gunpoint 3 years prior to that, or 2.5 years prior to that, and she was set to testify against him, which is where the frustration enters in, that he also had these other charges that were brought, drug charges and such along the way. He was on an ankle monitor. Was she under the impression that Cujo was locked up? You mentioned that they had not communicated with her.
They hadn't communicated with her. She was under the impression he was locked up. The last thing that she had told me, she had shown me a picture of him. She wouldn't tell me his name, but she said he was locked up. And, we had moved her after she had been robbed and wanted her to be safe, and tried to find a place that we thought that she would be. And it's just been awful to read through and see how many times in the case documents that he was pulled over or accused of something. And maybe I think a lot of it has to do with the different, like Tempe isn't talking to Scottsdale and Scottsdale isn't talking. They're all under Maricopa, but not all of them are put under the same database. So they have to look for it. If it was all just compiled in one place, maybe Mercedes would still be alive.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
Tom and Erika Pillsbury, parents of the deceased Mercedes Vega, we know you're going to continue to relentlessly seek justice for your daughter. We're behind you 100%. We'll certainly continue to tell her story and your story as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching The Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe, and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.